right, good morning and welcome to Member Appreciation Day at Denver Community Media. So my name is Jeffrey Scott. I'm with Scott Broadcast Media, and I'm here today to talk to you about drones and using drones in video and cinematography. I've been flying for, I have to admit, I've got an addiction. I'm addicted to drones. And I've been flying these for about 4 years. I am a Part 107 licensed pilot. And it's just pretty amazing, I think, how far this has come. If you think about 5 or 6 years ago, then there was a lot of stigma about drones. I mean, people were calling police on pilots because they thought they were coming around and snooping on them. People were shooting these out of the air with their shotguns and stuff like that. And it was kind of a crazy time, but they've kind of found their niche now. And what the potential here is amazing. I mean, if you think back 10, 15 years ago, if you wanted to get any aerials, you had to basically hire a helicopter or a copter cam, one of those small, miniature, real noisy little two-stroke helicopter cameras. And so you'd spend thousands. It would cost $10,000 a day for one of those copter cams, and spend pretty close to that on a helicopter too. And so that's way outside of the budget of somebody like me and most shooters anyway. But now that we've gotten some really good quality equipment here, I mean, for a couple of $100, you can go out there and you can get shots that those helicopters cannot. I mean, it's really pretty amazing what you can do with this equipment. And it's growing like crazy. I mean, last year, the commercial use of drones grew by 37%. So there is an opportunity to make money with this and really kind of push your creativity as well. So there's two basically different kinds of registration you can have when you're flying a drone. So one of them is for recreational purposes only. And that basically is, so you got a drone, you didn't spend much money on it, but you just like to learn to fly and you just like to get out there and fly. So what do you need to do in order to be legal to do that? Well, you don't have to get licensed, but you do have to register your drone. You have to go to FAAdronezone.gov. And what you have to do is sign up and register your drone, and you have to put the sticker on there with the N number. That is your registration number. You also have to go through a process or take a test. It's called Trust. And it's not a license, but they want you to know how to fly safely. So you have to go in and just take that quiz, and you're ready to go. Now, if you want to fly commercially, you want to use these for your company, you want to go out and be a freelance shooter, or you want to look at one of the other opportunities that are out there for using these drones for inspection purposes or for agricultural purposes like that, then you have to get your Part 107. And that is, it takes you probably 2 to 3 months of study to get that. And really, in order to be proficient at doing the test, then you really need to sign up with one of the training programs. I like the UAV Coach myself, and they've done a really good job. They supported me very well through the entire process. And then you have to go to Broomfield and set up a test there, a written test. It costs $175 to get the to do the written test. But once you do that, then you walk out of there with your license and you are legal to fly. Now, that doesn't mean you're insured. I usually carry about $1 million worth of insurance on this, so that if there's any kind of a crash, then I'm covered. Also, I have what's called hull insurance on these. So if I crash one of my drones, it's covered by insurance. So, and I've got 3 different drones set up here. Both of these 2 are the Mavic Pros, and they're set up in different configurations. So, let's see, we talked about that. Oh, so I want to talk more about the commercial licensing. And there's actually 2 different categories here. One of them is the small UAVs, and one of them is just called a UAV. So if your drone weighs more than 55 pounds, then that's a UAV, and you have to have more certification on that. And these are the ones typically you see the people in Hollywood using, and you usually have a tandem team on that. So you've got one person flying the drone and one person operating the camera. These are what are called SUAVs, and so they weigh less than 55 pounds, and typically this one is about 2.5 pounds. That one runs about 3 pounds, and so that is all the requirements that you need, is to have your license for that. Now, I like these because they're so simple, they're so easy, and they're so mobile. I mean, you can get this at about 5 foot off the deck and fly it, and then do a reveal shot that really looks cool. You can, going on the bias, you can do dolly shots, you can do tilt and pans, and pull in, pull outs that, you know, and these cameras are all at least 4K cameras. Now the one on the end, that's a 5.1. This one has is set up, as you can see, with a strobe on it. This is set up to shoot at night. So if you have to shoot manually, you operate your camera manually at night. If you were to try to do it automatic, as soon as you turn this on, it would say not enough ambient light. And you also have to have the strobe on here. And let's see if I can get this to operate. So that you can be identified by other aircraft around. Now, your ceiling on all of these is limited to 400 feet. And you'll notice that this one is red on the left and green on the right. So the port side is left, so you know how this is oriented if you're up there flying at night. And it's really kind of interesting to fly at night. So we'll kill that maybe. It's a lot more of a challenge, especially if you are on the landing part of things, because that can get a little bit twitchy at times. So what are the categories where you can make money with this? Actually, there's quite a bit. Real estate uses them quite a bit for doing their demo videos. You've got roof inspections. You got landscape and mapping for the surveyors. You've got power line and tower inspections for the utility companies. You've got pipelines that you can inspect, communication towers, construction projects that are going on around Denver. They like to have them documented, so it's real easy to get a lot of good footage as to where they are at a particular time. Disaster surveys, like FEMA. Once you're signed up with the government, then that's a really good way to do things if you want to get into that. Personally, I don't really like to see that kind of disaster and so forth. And of course, ENG, electronic news gathering. There's a lot of opportunities, and for people to work in the news arena, just normal cinematography. And also agriculture. They use these drones quite a bit in agriculture to inspect crops and see where problems might be within the crop. And also they use them to drop different herbicides and so forth sometimes. And also on delivery. Now, autonomous drones are something that is new and coming in. In California, Amazon is doing a test with using drones to deliver their packages. And this is the wave of the future. I mean, there's going to be a lot of employment in that arena, I think. So, like I mentioned, the first thing you need to do is to enroll in a school, and then get your license, then register your drones, and then get out there and fly. Just fly a lot, really. I mean, I really recommend that you get a really cheap drone to start with. Like, you can get some on Amazon for about $80 or $100. And you're probably going to kill that drone. I killed 2 of them before I figured anything out. And are they the best performing drones? Do they really maneuver very well? No, probably not. But if you're going to end up in a tree, who cares? Then you move up to something, so going from an $80 or $100 drone to a $1,600 drone and then a $2,500 or $3,000 drone only makes sense to me. I mean, either that or you pay a fair amount to get some flight instruction. So, and there's a lot of opportunities to do that as well. So, start searching your area for the area you want to work in. There's so much opportunity. If you really want to specialize, if you want to be a cinematographer, if you want to work for other people, or just do it for your own company, then you really need to figure out and kind of narrow down your scope of what you want to do. Research what the best drone for your particular category is. You might want to find an easy job that kind of helps you log hours. It's all about getting the experience. So maybe getting out and doing some roof inspections, especially since the hail we just had earlier this month. So you have to retest and keep your license current every 2 years. So that's called a recurrency. So what if I want to make movies with my drone? What do I need to do? Well, first of all, you really need to understand your camera functions. If you can always just set it on automatic and go, but is that true cinematography? No, I don't think so. That's not the way I think of it. There's so much more that you can do with your depth of field and your ISOs and your shutter speeds and so forth, and your frame rates that it's incredible. Thinking about composition and camera moves and learning those camera moves, just repeating them over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. And how to use a camera to tell a story. Also thinking about storyboarding. Now that's something that I'm pretty sure they teach here. Now I'm a new member, so I haven't really been engaged with DCM that much yet, but storyboarding just makes you think about it in a different way. And then just go out and do it. Make something. Whether it looks really good or not, just get out there and make it. Once you have a basic understanding of how to make the film, then how does the aerials, how does these machines, this opportunity, change your perspective of how you make movies? Now, DJI is present in the marketplace is probably the highest one, and they're always coming out with new stuff. I mean, I've only had that drone for probably about 4 or 5 months, and it's probably obsolete already. And I think there are a lot of really good American-made ones that are coming out now. DJI was a leader in the marketplace, but there's so many others you can go with that are just as good. And of course, DJI, these are all made in China. So, let's see. You can get, task-specific drones. You can spend $600 on a drone. In fact, if you go on eBay right now, you can probably pick up one of these for about $600 or $700 for the whole kit. Or you can spend $100,000 on a drone. If you're working in cinematography in LA, in Hollywood, you're going to want something that's a serious drone, because they won't take you seriously if you show up with one of these. And that's the truth. So, and that's all about camera capacity. How big of a camera can you get up in the air? If you're looking at a film camera, a 35 millimeter film camera, that's some serious weight right there, if anybody's even using those anymore. So you're looking at what you want to look at in regard to whatever you're going to be using it for, especially in the movies: flight time, stability of the gimbal and the camera itself, and the speed of the drone itself too. So flight time, typically on the Mavic Pros, it's about 25 minutes is what you can squeeze out of it, and that's kind of pushing it a little bit. Whereas the Mavic 3, we're up to about 45 to 47 minutes of airtime with that. And the camera capacity is really a lot different. Like I mentioned, this is a 4K 30, and so is that. But that one is a 5.1, and it can go up to a frame rate of, or actually a rate of about 200. So you can really get some good slow-mo with that particular system. Also, this one has a Hasselblad camera on it. So it gives really good images, and it has up to a 28x. So you can zoom in big time, but once you start getting out there that far, your images are going to break down a lot. These have 4x on them. Now, this one is rigged for basically flight where there's people around. It has the rotor guards or the prop guards on it that you can see. So if it hits somebody, it's not gonna render flesh. Or if it hits a tree or you tap a building or something like that system over there, it's not going to kill the drone. It's not going to hurt anybody. Now this one, I like to use the iPad on it, simply because of the quality of the image. I want it as big as I can get. With these, it's really easy to use an iPhone or an Android. Now, this one is AI. So artificial intelligence on that has come light years from what we were doing here. And the Mavic 3 will not fly at night unless you have a strobe on it, and unless you have it programmed specifically for that. It'll go up to about 30 feet and it'll stop, and it will not go anywhere beyond that. But the avoidance on this is incredible. I mean, you can fly it down a canyon where you've got this much space, and it will stay true. It will not bounce off the walls. And also, this one has obstacle avoidance when you're backing it up. And so a lot of the shots that people use is you focus on a subject and then you're pulling back and gaining altitude. Well, that's a real good way to put it in a tree. And a lot of people have done that. And so that one will stop in its tracks. Either that, you can set it up so it will either stop or it will climb to avoid. So, let's see, what else? Stock footage. Some of the other ways you can make money, of course, is doing stock footage with these, and a lot of people are out there doing that. And there's a lot of demand, and you can make Fair money. If this is what you're really wanting to focus on, you have to shoot a lot and you have to get it out there. But also I've heard of people that have been in the right place at the right time and been around a flight of seagulls or a flight of cranes and be able to get below and above, do a climbing shot and tilt shot over those cranes, and have sold that particular clip for $3,000. So, I mean, once again, just get out there and do it. Get out there and shoot. So, I think I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. So now we're into the Q&A. Do you have any questions for me?
So, I know, if you were to take these parks and hiking and stuff like that, does that fall under recreational, or is that commercial? If I was to go up to the mountains and I wanted to get a nice drone aerial shot of the mountains and stuff like that.
The shots of the color changes and stuff like that. Exactly. Now you could do that as a rec.
Okay.
And but if you were out there and somebody else hired you to go out there and do that shoot, or if you have a company that you're shooting that for, you're going to use it specifically in a production, then you really need to be Part 107. I mean, you ought to get it anyway, because you get so much more education. You learn about airspace, different kinds of airspace, where you can fly, where you're going to get in real trouble. The police coming in and putting you in handcuffs and hauling you away. And no, that happens. And taking your drone, it does happen. And not quite so much as it used to, because I think people are getting much more educated about that. The pilots are being very cautious. One of the things that people were complaining about or were concerned about was that that people would be peering in their windows and invading their privacy and so forth and so on. But one of the things that when you go through these trainings, they really hammer it into you that you got to be ethical about this. Don't go spying on people. Why would you want to do that? And be very respectful of other people's property and so forth. So also, when you go and you do your Part 107, then it gives you a lot of cred. It gives you credibility. I am licensed. I'm a certified pilot. I'm insured. I've got X amount of hours. I've got 150, 200 hours in the air, and I can show you some of my, some of my footage if you want to see what that's like. And I can do this in a way that that really is very impressive and will improve your bottom line. And I can do it at a reasonable rate. I usually charge, if it's, you can set up the Mavic Pros for a tandem shoot, so you can have a pilot and a camera operator on these. And typically, if I'm setting it up that way, then it's $300 an hour. If it's just me and a single camera shoot, then it's $150 an hour. And that's a pretty good rate, really.
And then, how much is it to get certified? To take the course?
Well, it costs $175 to take the test. And I think it was, you can find coupons online. It usually runs you about $225 to $250 to go through the courses and get educated, so that you can go in and you can just nail that test.
What are some of the basic restrictions on where you can and can't fly?
There's not a lot of places around Denver where you can fly. You cannot fly in the parks, and you cannot fly in open space. You cannot fly in a lot of the designated areas that people are in. Where I go fly is Fort Logan, which is down south. They've got that big parade field down there, and there's no limitations to it. And also, on your phone, there's a number of different apps that you can go in and you can check and see if it's legal to fly where you are. And that's one of the things that when I was here talking to Corinne, that I pulled out my phone and checked the app. Yep, we're good to fly here. Because there are restricted areas. You cannot fly around or over the Capitol. You cannot fly anywhere close to an airport. You cannot fly in a lot of areas. But you can join a club. And there are 7 different places right around here that you can go and you can fly legitimately and legally there. So that's what I recommend. The modeling club is a real good one. They provide you, it's a $60 fee to sign up for them, and you automatically get $2 million worth of insurance on your aircraft and yourself. And they are out at Chapman Reservoir, and you can go out there and fly. They have a lot of fixed wings, which are fun to watch, but also there's an area where you can go out and fly your drone too. And so once you've got that insurance, then you can pretty much go anywhere. And it's, like I say, it's included, it's free. So that's a real good way to get started. Let's see. Of course, you get out and you cannot fly in national parks like Rocky Mountain National Park, but you can fly in any one of the recreational. I'm trying to think. So, like national forests, you can fly anywhere in a national forest, and you get out on private land. Of course, you can fly just about anywhere anyway. So that's where you can fly. Any other questions?
For somebody just getting started, like, is there a particular model that might be more affordable that you would recommend?
Yeah, well, I would look for a used one. First of all, like I said, I started with about a $75 or $80 drone, and I think that's the best way to start, really. I mean, if somebody gives you a drone like one of these, then yeah, that's great. But it's so easy. You're going to kill them. You're going to kill your first drone. There is no doubt about that. So that's where I would go first. And then I would look for a used one, probably. One that has not been trashed. And you can pick those up for a couple $100. The DJIs are pretty user-friendly. But also there's a lot of ones coming out that are a lot smaller, and they're very light, and they can be used for flights around people, because you have to be real cautious about that. But they have some downsides to them. The Green Hornet is one of them. It is really noisy. I mean, it is ridiculously noisy, and its flight time is only 4 minutes. And and you have to put a GoPro on it in order to have a camera. So I don't see the point, really. There are so many new drones coming out so quickly that are American made. You see, and thank you for that. You see some ads on YouTube and so forth. This guy invented the greatest drone in the world, and it's $100, and it looks just like this. A big ripoff, no doubt. But I don't know. You get what you pay for, and you got to consider the camera quality. That first drone I had, the camera was crap. I mean, it really didn't. It was not worth the time, but it gave me the opportunity to get out here and kind of figure out the sticks and do some exercises where I got to start figuring out the control and how to do some different kinds of turns and squares and so forth and so on. And then I moved up to this. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah, there probably are, but I have never used them. I haven't seen them, so I don't know. I would think so. It's a good question. It's worth checking out, definitely.
Do you ever run into like art, like anything like that? Does that ever happen?
Well,
any
say it again, Jason. I can't hear you.
is there any like? Do you ever get like signal interference or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So that's when you get around high tension lines, then that can be a problem. It will actually, the drone will tell you that there's magnetic interference, and it will basically shut down. It probably won't take off. But I've also had times when the drone will fly, but it has completely wiped my SD cards. So I got up, thought I got some good shots. I got back, and there's absolutely nothing on the SD card at all. And then I'd go back and completely reformat everything and get it to function again. So yeah, you have to watch where you're flying, and of course you have to watch for the first thing you're going to do is go out and look at the obstacles in your flight area. How many trees are in the way, power lines that are going over here, and how tall the buildings are. Also, you learn about wind shear and so forth. That when you're on a certain side of a building, if you go around the other side of the building, the wind could be 2 or 3 times stronger, and it could take that drone and smash it right into the building. So, yeah, there's a lot to learn as far as that kind of interference. One of the things that's really cool about these drones is it's called return to home. There's a button on here on the controller, and basically I'm gonna go ahead and fly this a little bit in just a few minutes. And what I do is I put out a landing pad. You should always use a landing pad for a couple of different reasons. First of all, a lot of the places you're going to be launching and landing is going to have a lot of sand, a lot of grass, and stuff like that. This prevents, and these have fans in the bottom of them that draw air up and evacuate it out the back. So it's really easy to draw sand and grass and all kinds of material into the drone itself, which will destroy the drone. Also, when I launch this, I'll take it up, about 20 feet or so, and there is what's called a vision system on this. Right here, there's 2 cameras, and actually 2 cameras at the end right here. And what they will do, they will lock on the H right there, and that orange. And so that it'll use that to guide it to land again. But also, as it goes up, it will inform me that the home has been updated. That means that this has calibrated into a number of different GPS satellites. And I've had as many as 21 satellites on my controller at one time. So you're out here, you're flying, you've gotten everything calibrated, you've got your global positioning, and for some reason you get a huge gust of wind and your drone disappears on you. And so you can just hit that return to home. What will happen is that drone will go up to a designated height, 150, 200 feet, and it will come right back over here and it will land itself on that H. And with these, you kind of have to manipulate it, maneuver it a little bit as you're getting right down on the ground. But on that Mavic 3, it will nail it every time. So, what other questions?
When you're looking at purchasing drones, will some drones mark themselves as commercial versus?
You're talking about the identification. Yeah. So basically, these 2 drones right here, as they're older, then they don't have an ID system on them. The Mavic 3 does. And in September of this year, we're required to start thinking about putting identification broadcasters. Basically, they are like a transponder on these 2 drones, whereas that already has it. And this will notify the FAA where that drone is, who's flying it, and if they have violated any airspace. So once again, you do not want to go fly around airports. Class B, Class C, Class D airspace, it's illegal unless you notify the tower and you get clearance to be able to fly in that area. There's people that have been flying drones around airports and messing with the fixed wing the commercial aircraft, and that's definitely does not go well with the FAA. That's where you end up in jail, big time. So we've got 1 year, September 23, when any drone you fly has to have an ID module on it. And it also has to have a tag on it and identifying that module. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Corinne?
Can you talk a little bit to your pre-production planning process? Like, do you have a shot list when you want to use footage?
Yeah, I do. And it's all about efficiency. You've got a limited amount of battery time. I mean, typically I pack about 6 or 8 batteries with me when I'm flying, but still you want to make the most efficient use. So especially if you're working with a client and you want to make sure that we get the shot, then I'm going to sit down and with them, I'm going to figure out what shots they want. But you also want to think about the progression of those shots. So I might start with a following shot, a high following shot of maybe somebody. So maybe we're doing an electric bike, let's say that. And they're out, and they're out in the terrain with it. And so we want a high shot that's following them and coming down. And then my next shot, I'm going to take and I'm going to pivot and I'm going to do a dolly shot that's following them. Then I might move out in front and do a tracking shot where I have them in track, but I'm moving backwards with the drone. So I've got a frontal shot of them. Also, you want to think about your normal procedure as far as how you're shooting. You do a close-up, right? Then you do a medium shot, then you do a long shot, or reverse that. And typically it's better to reverse that when you're working with a drone. So you do a high shot, bring it down to a medium shot, and then you get as close as you can. You can also, the orbit shots are very effective. And all 3 of these will have a lot of programming to them. So you can do a following shot. You can actually follow yourself. If you're out there on your bike, you can set it up and go and turn the camera on, and you can be riding your bike and that drone will follow you at a specific height. Or you can have it higher or lower. And with the AI, then we don't have to worry about going into trees and stuff like that. But it also has a cinema mode on all of these, which means it slows the drone down. So you've got a soft start and a soft landing if you're doing a pan shot, and everything moves slower, so you're not getting kind of a choppy look to your cinema. There's a tripod mode, there's point of view modes, where you've got a specific, if you wanted to do this particular parking lot, you could take the drone up to 200 or 300 feet and then take it out 100 foot from this particular point, that particular point, and then do an orbiting shot around that automatically. And it'll do it automatically. And then you can increase the speed of how fast that drone's moving or decrease it. And you can do a lot with it. And you can still bring it down. You can reduce your altitude, and it will still maintain that orbit around a specific subject. Anything else?
Do you know in Denver, so there's not many places you can fly in Denver, but if you wanted to shoot a specific event, is there any exceptions? Do you know the process for that?
basically, you have a contract with the people that you're shooting it for. Or if you're shooting it for yourself, then you just need to have permission from the people that are running the event, and make sure that it's an area that you're able to fly in. And one of the things that you really have to watch out for is it is against FAA regs to have a sustained camera shot over an event or over a crowd. Now the key word there is sustained. So I can take and I can fly over an event, and I have, but you just have to, you have to watch so you're not putting people at risk by flying, right here. You have to fly at a safe altitude, and then use your cameras to zoom in on what you need to see. So there's some of you obviously can't fly over Bronco Stadium or Empower Stadium anymore, or never could, because that's very restricted airspace there. They don't want anybody flying over something like that. But if it's just a smaller event, like maybe a motocross or something like that, it's pretty easy to be able to do that, as long as you're in coordination with the event provider. They know that you're insured, and you've got an idea of how you're going to shoot that and not put people at risk. And you're probably going to have static cameras out there as well, and a couple of camera operators, as well as your aerial shots.
What about, you probably have to get a permit from the city?
Your permits from the city, that's only if you're stopping traffic or something like that. The same, it would be the same as if you're doing a production where you've got a chase scene going through the city or something like that, or you've got a crowd shot or some such thing. That's the only time you'd really need a permit. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, well, let's see what we can do here as far as have some fun. Let's see here. Ah, come here, you puppy. All right.
Adding mode.
So if any of you want to see the image that camera is showing right now. So we are ready to go. We have GPS.
Take off. The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Okay. So when you get up here now, it has updated the home date. So I've got, let's see how many. I've got 13 satellites that are hooked into this right now. And you always want to take it up and run it a little bit, warm up your motors and get them efficient. And these babies climb a lot faster than what they descend. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Let's see. Hit record. So from what I'm seeing right now, I really should have an ND filter on this. So currently we are at, let's see, we're at 90 feet. Camera down. Now, one thing about when you're flying these, as you're flying out, when you go left, the drone will go left, but as you're flying toward yourself, it's opposite. If you want to move it right, then you have to push the left stick. If you move it left, you have to push the right stick. Oh, come here. Like I say, they get a little bit twitchy.
Landing.
Oh, still missed it. So, anyway, that's what we got. And they're a heck of a lot of fun. They really are. And the more you fly them, the better you get at it. And it opens up whole new worlds.